Have you ever felt overwhelmed trying to keep an eye on your kids at a crowded playground? Now imagine that playground is the wild, open savanna of the Pleistocene, filled with giant hyenas and saber-toothed cats. Sounds intense, right? Today, we're re-diving deep into one of the most incredible stories of survival, raising children in prehistory. It wasn't just about keeping them fed and warm. It was about passing on the skills, knowledge, and social bonds that allowed our species to thrive against all odds. Forget modern parenting guides. This is the ultimate story of how humanity raised its future. Let's start from the very beginning. For a prehistoric mother, pregnancy and childbirth were incredibly vulnerable times. Without modern medicine, the risks were immense. But our ancestors weren't alone. They had their community. Imagine giving birth not in a sterile hospital room, but in a familiar cave or shelter, surrounded by experienced women from your group, sisters, mothers, aunts, who had been through it all before. They would offer support, assist with the birth, and share knowledge passed down through generations. This social support system was the first and most critical layer of protection for both mother and child. It truly took a village, right from the first breath. Once the baby arrived, the challenges were far from over. A newborn human is one of the most helpless creatures on the planet. For the first few years, a child would have been almost constantly attached to its mother or another caregiver. They were carried in slings made from animal hides or woven plant fibers, keeping them safe, warm, and close to a source of food. This constant physical contact wasn't just for convenience. It created a powerful bond and allowed the infant to learn by observing everything the adults did. They were silent little apprentices, absorbing the sights and sounds of their world. From the way their mother foraged for edible plants to the rhythm of tool-making back at camp. And what about the fathers? While mothers were often the primary caregivers for infants, fathers and other male relatives played a crucial role. They were the protectors and providers, hunting big game to bring back much-needed protein and fat. A successful hunt was a community victory, ensuring everyone, especially the growing children, had the energy they needed. But their role wasn't limited to hunting. Fathers were also teachers. As a boy grew, he would have followed his father and other men, learning to track animals, read the landscape, and craft his first simple tools. It was a hands-on education in survival, where every lesson could mean the difference between life and death. As children grew older, their world expanded from the immediate circle of their mother to the wider community. This is where alloparenting comes in, a fancy term for other parenting. Grandparents, older siblings, aunts, and uncles all pitched in. While some adults were out hunting or gathering, others would stay behind to watch over the group of children. This was not just prehistoric daycare. It was a vital social strategy. It freed up parents to focus on resource-intensive tasks, and it allowed children to learn from a diverse group of elders and peers. Grandmothers, with their decades of accumulated knowledge about medicinal plants and foraging spots, were especially valuable. They were living libraries of survival information. Play was a huge part of a prehistoric child's life, but it wasn't just for fun. Through play, children practiced the essential skills they would need as adults. A game of hide and seek in the woods sharpened their awareness of the environment and their ability to move silently. Tossing rocks at a target honed the aiming skills needed for hunting. They would create miniature versions of adult tools, like small spears or digging sticks, and imitate the activities they saw around them. This play work was their school, where the curriculum was designed by evolution itself. Through these games, they built physical strength, coordination, and a deep understanding of their world. What did these prehistoric kids eat? Their diet was likely far more varied than ours. They ate what was available seasonally: fruits, nuts, roots, insects, eggs, and of course, meat from hunts and fish from rivers. Children learned from a very young age what was safe to eat and what was poisonous. A slight mistake could be fatal, so this knowledge was drilled into them through constant observation and direct instruction. Imagine a toddler learning to distinguish between dozens of different berries and leaves. This deep botanical and zoological knowledge was essential for survival and was passed down with meticulous care. Of course, life was filled with dangers. Beyond predators, there were injuries, illnesses, and the constant threat of a changing climate. Evidence from skeletal remains shows that prehistoric people suffered from broken bones, infections, and nutritional deficiencies. But these same skeletons also show us something remarkable: evidence of healing. An individual with a badly broken leg that had healed, or an elderly person who had lost all their teeth, but clearly lived for years afterward, tells a story of community care. These individuals could not have survived on their own. Their group fed them, protected them, and nursed them back to health. This compassion and social responsibility was the bedrock of their society. As children entered adolescence, their training intensified. They transitioned from play work to real work, taking on more responsibilities within the group. Teenagers would have been active participants in hunting parties and long-distance foraging trips. This was also a critical time for social learning. They learned the complex rules of their society, the stories and myths that explained the world, and the rituals that bound their community together. Passing on this cultural knowledge was just as important as passing on hunting techniques. It gave them an identity, a sense of belonging, and a shared purpose. So, when we look back at our prehistoric ancestors, we see a model of parenting that was incredibly resilient, cooperative, and deeply connected to nature. It was built on the foundation of the community, where every member had a role to play in raising the next generation. They understood, perhaps better than we do today, that the survival of the group depended on the success of its children. They weren't just raising kids, they were building the future of humanity, one child, one lesson, one act of care at a time. It's a powerful reminder that we've always been social creatures, relying on each other to navigate the challenges of life. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into our incredible human story. Let me know in the comments what aspect of prehistoric life you find most amazing. See you next time.